Hey, you guys, welcome to Real Estate Mavericks, how to hold the perfect open house. And well, it's glasses back on because I can tell you that I had Adrienne, amazing Adrienne, who is one of our Real Estate Mavericks coaches. She went and she researched for me. I actually printed this stuff out. She researched for me the best, how many did she get here? I said, go find the best advice, the absolute best advice for holding open houses. I mean, scour the internet. She spent like hours a day scouring the internet for the best advice on holding open houses. And I'm going to start by covering that. I'm going to do that in like 90 seconds here. So the best advice that we could find on the internet for holding open houses is, first, you want to have a nice little welcome sign. This is not what this webinar is about. Trust me, guys, this is not what this webinar is about. You want to have one of these little welcome signs. Welcome to my open house. Ask questions, fall in love, and make an offer. Isn't that cute? Okay, so there's that. And then you want to have the open kind of sign in, take a look around, open. There you go. So you want to have one of those. Yeah, right. And so here's one more graphically done, so you can do that. Isn't that is so cute? And then it says here, what is this? So those are some of the things you want to keep your seller a phone call away. Excuse me reading while I do this, but whatever, it's just right here. Keep your seller a phone call away. All right, you be sure and do that in case you get an offer at the open. You want to call them right away, right? You know, list the open house on your Zillow account. Have refreshments like cookies or donuts. Create a photo board with home pictures on it. And don't underestimate goodie bags. And what else? Have display signs throughout the house pointing out special features. And this is all stuff you can find for free. Oh, you want to play punch card and open house bingo. And there you go. Oh, and you want to utilize Facebook. I will be talking about that. So there's the best what we could find on the internet. Now we're going to actually do something that makes sense. And let me go over to start well, let me tell you how this got started. This is not the kind of webinar I normally do. I teach what I call, I think most of you guys know, I teach a business in a box where I have a very specific coaching strategy that I teach. It's a listing market control strategy. And then we back it up with materials and videos that we customize for our agents. And we've developed this every month. We just develop it and try to make it better and better. So a part of this is the main goal of my coaching is to be a listing maven. That is to just list the heck out of property. Now, as part of that, listing that process, I advise my agents because our goal this year with all the agents I'm coaching is to list 2 homes a week. So when you're listing 2 homes a week and managing that kind of an expanding business, very hard to hold open houses. I don't really consider that to be the great use of time for the listing agents, but it is an appropriate use of time perhaps for buyer's agents. And what I'm really going to talk about today are some very different open house strategies. And you'll see the purposes are very different than the open house kind of stuff you see and hear on the internet. I'm approaching it from a whole different context. And it all came about as I went through some open houses with Roseanne last weekend. And the agents I met, by the way, there's no criticism here, could not be nicer, were absolutely dressed appropriately, could not be nicer, knowledgeable about the house, had packets of information regarding the house, anything you'd want to know, but I don't really think any of them, and we went through quite a few opens, and none of them really had any strategies for acquiring me, and for a while they didn't know I was a realtor. I told them at some point, but I actually didn't tell them right away because I wanted to see how I was treated in a non-realtor context. So, and then I told them like halfway through, and we talked, and it was great. And these were mostly newer agents who, most of the old time agents around here know me, but these were newer agents who didn't. So it was really, really fun. And I was just blown away by the fact that none of them tried to secure me as a buyer to work with them. And none of them tried to secure me as a seller to sell with them. In fact, not one even asked if I had a home to sell, and or much less offered anything gave me anything that would inspire me to maybe consider listing with them. So we're going to talk a lot about that today, and you'll see that my strategies for holding open houses maybe vary from a lot of what you're seeing out there. So let me pop up the screen share real quick here. So we're going to go through a few slides, and then I'm going to pop back on. So we're going to whip through these very quickly here. So the perfect open house, and I want to tell you a story that is really relevant to everything you do, including holding open houses. And back when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was so excited because my dad had had quite a bit of success in real estate. And I'm going to show you something in just a minute. I'm going to go back off screen share if I can lift this thing. It's absolutely huge, but I want to show you a rendering of my dad's real estate office he built this building back, would have been in like 1952, 53. He was so proud of this. It was our first family real estate office in Cincinnati. And this is actually a rendering that was given to me by someone who saved it. Actually, Yvette Jessen. Yvette is a RE/MAX owner back in Cincinnati. She used to work for my dad. She was, when I was back there and I was like a kid, and Yvette was kind enough to, with my sister, Linda, send me this as a Christmas present. It's just so special. But I remember when his dad was having success in real estate, and he built this building. We bought a home on 5 acres. And I mean, this was like, I'd grown up very modestly while Dad was working hard to build his business. And this was amazing. I mean, this was a nice home, 5 acres, had a barn. We were all excited, my sister and I, about having horses. And I remember the day we were moving in, and it was just like this. They were moving in. I saw this place had an old-fashioned water pump. So I was like totally excited. It was out by the barn, so the moving trucks are there, and I go running out, and I start cranking on this water pump, and I'm just going, you see the handle right there, the water pump, so I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down, but nothing's happening. It's going clankety, clankety, clankety. So I go running back in the house, and I say, Dad, I said, the water pump's broken. We got a defective water pump. And I remember Dad said to me, Greg, you got to prime the pump. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you got to pour water in the top. And you guys see the photo here, see that where the little thingamajiggy's going down. If you're not familiar with water pumps, that's like the little hole. And at least at this pump, he said, you got to pour water in that while you're pumping to get the suction going, and that'll get it going. So I went out and took a bucket and tried. It was all, all combobulated, trying to pump the thing and pour water in the top. And, but I got it going. So I ran back in the house. Never forget this, ran back in the house. And said, Dad, it works. It's so cool. The thing pumps water, and it's cool, and it's fresh. And I drank some water and all this stuff. So he says, Greg, he said, never forget this. Now, like I'm 12 years old. Okay. So he says, Greg, that is a great life lesson, a great lesson for life. And he said, the lesson is that you have to make an investment if you expect a return. You have to prime the pump. And he said, it's true with everything. He said, take school. Right now you're in school. The investment you make in learning is something that will pay off later in life. He said, from a larger to a smaller scale, little investments we make in time, in people, in our friends, in our family, in our knowledge, in our profession, all these things, these are the things that pay off. And he said, never forget all the time with all that you do. Like I remember I was into skeet shooting, clay bird shooting. That was my big hobby back then. And I actually at one point got good enough to qualify to go up to Vandalia, Ohio and shoot in the national trap competition, which I did totally horrible. All these guys were shooting like 100 straights. I mean, they'd shoot like 500 straight and never miss. I mean, I would shoot like 97 and thought I was amazing, and it wasn't even close. But the point is the same thing, just constant concentration, practice, etc. Well, I won't belabor it other than to say that one of the things I teach in my coaching is this idea of, okay, so I'm going to run through this and then I'm going to pop to the open houses. And this is really big. In fact, Juanita Simpkins, I hope you're on this morning, Juanita. Juanita is an agent who just recently joined our coaching. She's in Colorado Springs. And I was talking to, was it Juanita that I was talking? Yes, I think it was Juanita I was talking to yesterday. If not Juanita, I apologize. I had so many coaching calls yesterday. But we were going through a scenario. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't. It was wasn't Woodino. Well, it doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter. I have to think who it was. But I was an agent right here in town. But we were talking, and that joined our coaching, and we were talking about the getting our message out. You know, one of the things I teach is that listing commissions are falling drastically, and you need to get ahead of the curve. I believe in 36 months that this luxury we've had of being in the real estate business and being paid to list properties, I know this is like not what you want to hear, but if you looked at several recent Inman articles, listing commissions have now dropped into the low fives on average, overall commissions, and they're dropping below 5%. It's predicted this year into 4 point something. And that's mostly all being taken. That hit is being taken on the list side. So that hit's being taken on the list side, which means the average list commission in this country is going to soon be like in the 1.7, 1.8 range, and dropping precipitously as companies like Hauser and Redfin and Trelora is $2,500 on each side as these companies grow and expand. And my company, the 990 company, you know, and 990 sells homes. So what I teach is a strategy, just to get to it, where you reduce your list side commission. You go out early right now while commissions are still higher on average, and you command enormous market share by marketing like my program or any program like mine is 990. This 990 program, or on the list side, you charge only 990, and you take 2-3 listings a week with that. So, you know, that's not, do that, don't do that. That's not the purpose of this webinar. But the idea is, where do you monetize that? Why? How can you make money listing it 0% like Hauser in Philadelphia? For those of you new on my webinar today, not my company, Mike Mayer founded Hauser, Howzer. They did 196 commissionable sales last year in their first year in business, and they charge a 0% list side commission, not even 990, 0%. And so the bottom line is that where you monetize it is every listing is generally considered to be worth one buy-side transaction. Either the seller buys through you, so you list a lot of houses and about 30 to 40% of those sellers buy through you, or somebody buys your listing through you 1 out of 10 times maybe, you know, so you actually sell your own listing, make 3% there, or your listings attract buyers through open houses. And that's what we're talking about today. Your listings attract potential buyers through open houses, and you sell those buyers other homes, but you need a strategic offer. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about today that these agents were doing. What did they do to get me to want to go out and look at homes with them? Absolutely nothing. And I'm going to talk about that today, how to correct that. So the bottom line is, I teach, you know, this strategy of dominating the listings and then having buyer agents who need to get a start in the business, hold the open houses, et cetera, and make a lot of money doing it. So the point is, though, that you generally should make one buy-side transaction for each listing if you took nothing on the list side. And Gary Keller, actually, co-founder of Keller Williams, 139,000 agents, has said and been quoted that it should be from 1 to 3, that if you took listings for free, that you should make 1 to 3 buy-side transactions with a properly marketed listing. And that is what I'll be talking about today in open houses. Well, the bottom line is this prime the pump. One of the things I teach, look at how simple a strategy, and we're going to leverage that today for open houses, is that look at how simple this is. There's all kinds of marketing techniques that we coach, and hopefully other coaches do as well. The biggies are all online, Facebook targeted, et cetera. But one of the things I like to teach and talk about and think about is go where the herd is going away from. Find the gaps in the herd. Where are people going? Where is the direction? Well, the direction right now is primarily what? Digital and online. Digital and online. So where people are going away from is print media, flyers, and door hangers. There's still a lot of it, but think to yourself, and this is what I want to ask you to get this webinar started. Think to yourself, how many door hangers have you had on your door in the last month? If you go back 10 years, look at the averages 10 years ago. The averages were that the average household had 1 to 2 door hangers a week on their doorknob, their front door, if you go back 10, 15 years. 1 to 2 a week. The average right now is 1 a month or less. 1 a month or less. The idea, the concept is that door hangers, an old way of marketing, door hangers suddenly have a lot more oomph because you're not in as much competition. You're not in as crowded a space. They call it blue ocean. If you read the book Blue Ocean Strategy, the idea is that you're in more of a blue ocean there because fewer people are doing it. And what's interesting about door hangers is even if the people whose doors you hang them on or have them hung on, even if these people just throw them away, they have to see them. That's not necessarily true with a newspaper ad. That's not necessarily true with digital marketing, any of that. It can appear, but they don't. It's off to the side. They may not even see the thing. You don't even know for sure they see it unless they click on it. But that's not true with door hangers. And there are a number of, and so the idea is this, that I teach, and then I want to leverage that for you here with open houses, is with one of the base strategies with like my 990 program is to take a community of, let's say, 1,000 homes. I'll just use this 1,000 homes as an example. EDDM areas generally run anywhere from 600 or 700 to 1,200 homes. So let's just take 1,000 homes. The idea is to hit each of those homes twice a month with your message. Now, this could be whatever your message is, guys. You do not have to be doing 990 or anything else. You just do, but you need to have a good, compelling message, something that gets people's attention, not just your photo, I'm wonderful, and I've been in the business 15 years. I teach compelling messages. I have for years. One of them, for example, is sell your home in 29 days. I have 29-day trademark like I do, 990, but you can use any other number if you're not in my coaching. Sell your home in 29 days for more than it's worth. Talk to me first. Ask me, learn more. So that's a strong, compelling message. It creates curiosity. And that all has to do with this 29-day pre-marketing process I teach that was featured in Forbes. And that's a strong message. Or sell your home, complete full service, $990 flat fee list commission. That's very powerful. The idea is this, and then we're going to leverage this into open houses. The idea is that if you arrange for two door hangers a month with your compelling message to hit 1,000 homes, and it has a good, compelling message, I know for sure with a 990 message, here's what happens. And then we're going to talk cost, and we'll talk ROI, and then we're going to leverage that into open houses. So here's exactly what will happen. And you should listen to this. This is major league. This is like making an investment and getting an absolute, hands down, for sure return. I mean, this is just like putting it in the bank and putting a little bit of effort in and knowing you're going to get this back. So watch what happens. First month, two door hangers on 1,000 doors, one the first week, one the third week. And there are services that just do this for you, but we'll talk about cost in a minute. And then we're going to talk about doing it with open houses. Second month, same thing. Door hanger first week, door hanger third week, same compelling message. Let's say we'll use my 990 program just as an example. So sell your home, pay just $990. And then it has, my branding, let's say your branding, twice the second month. Expect nothing. Expect nothing. The third month, do the same thing. And then expect nothing. Now you'll get something, but I tell my coaching students, expect nothing, because you have to make an investment to get a return. You have to make an investment. You have to pump the pump. And that first 3 months is making the investment to get a return. So I teach my coach. So then here's what happens. Here's exactly what happens. Anything up till then that happened is just icing on the cake. It will. You'll most likely get business during that 90 days. So here's your investment. Generally, you're going to invest 25 cents per door hanger per door. The printing cost is about 7 cents. And then the cost of distribution, whether you pay somebody by the hour, tons of young people would love to have a $12 an hour job doing this, or you just use a service. We have services that just do this here in Arizona. You can get the cost as low as 20 cents a door, including the printing, and 25 cents a door if you do it in smaller quantities. So you're 25 cents a door. Just figure that. This is just your investment. You don't even have to do a thing. You just pay to get this done. You're not putting the door hangers up. You need to spend time doing business, not searching for business. So the bottom line is you're just going to pay this. So what does it cost? Well, 25 cents, okay, times 1,000 is $250, right? So times 2 is $500 a month. So you're going to make a $1,500 investment. Now you can shrink that to half. You can do 500 homes. It doesn't matter. You can do 5,000 homes, but we're just going to use 1,000. So you're going to invest $1,500 over 3 months. And let's presume you get nothing during the 3 months. You will, but let's presume you don't. In the 4th month, you will get, proven, done this years, hundreds of agents. You will get 20% of the properties that are listed in that 1,000 home area. You will get calls on 1 out of 5, on 20%. So how many homes should that be? Figure this. In most communities, about 6% of the homes get listed and sold every year. So on 1,000 homes, 6% is how many? 60, right? So that's 60 homes. 60. And so you've got 12 months, which means there are 5 homes a month. 5 homes a month that are generally being listed and sold in your community. What's 20% of 5? It's 1. So you will for sure, and you'll probably gotten some during the 90 days, get at least 1 call, appointment, and probably list the home every month thereafter on $500 a month. So you just keep that going. You keep that $500 a month going. So you've invested $1,500. You primed the pump. Simple. Door hangers. We're not even talking EDDM mailers. I mean, those are great to alternate. There's all community events, newsletters. I teach a variety of strategies, but the bottom line is you don't have to. In fact, I can go off screen share to be talking about this, for gosh sake. Why am I having you look at this stupid pump there? Okay, so here I am. So probably the pump's better looking than me. In fact, definitely, but still. So the bottom line is look at the ROI on this. If this community is $300,000 homes, let's just say $300,000 homes, then, and if each of those so you're going to get 1 listing a month now on $500 a month investment. So on these listings, let's say you're using the 990 program, hands down, then that system just works. So, and we even provide the door hangers, provide videos, all this stuff. The bottom line is what happens. In the 4th month, you're taking in a listing, 300,000, multiply that times 3%. If you're in a 3% co-broke area, you're up in Denver, in those areas, I think it's 2.8, but whatever it is, multiply it, let's use 3%. That's $9,000 plus the 990 is $10,000. So you're investing $500 to get $10,000 back and to get branding recognition, somebody that's happy with you, a home in a bread and butter price range that should sell just like that. And the bottom, and then if you're good and you leverage the open house strategies I'm going to talk about today, you're going to produce more than 1 buyer per listing, And that's the big point. Whether you're taking your listings on a 6% basis or some other program, that is, now we're past that. The point is monetize those things, make those listings pay off. And if you're going to hold open houses yourself or have other people do it, teach them how to monetize these open houses, and that's what we're going to do today. So here we go back to the screen share real quick, and now we're going to blast through this, and I'm going to show you some strategies that I'll bet you have not heard before. So here we go. So the idea is to turn this, your prep time, your priming the pump time, turns into productive time. And so the idea is you've got to have clarity of purpose. And this is a big deal. I live my life around having clarity of purpose and clarity of process. Clarity of purpose, clarity of process. Everything I do, what is my clarity of purpose? What is my clarity? How am I going to get it done? That's my process. Same with open houses. I would never just go hold an open house, put out open signs, and hope that somebody comes through. Are you kidding me? I'm going to spend 3 hours without the prep time to make that really pay off? No way. So what I've done is I've come up with 6 clarities of purpose for you in open houses, 6 things that you could or should focus on with respect to open houses. Never hold an open house, and the people who are on your team who you're training to do this, you teach them to think this way, please. First, you want to impress someone to list with you. So we'll come back and talk about that. That's a hugely important clarity of purpose with respect to open houses. No open house that I went through did the agent have anything that impressed me to list with them. They never even suggested or asked me if I had a home to sell, much less handing me something or saying something to me that got me like thinking, well, I should maybe talk to this agent about listing my home with them. And this is before they knew I was a real estate agent. How? How do you do this? How do you hold an open house and not think about doing that, for gosh sake? People coming through could well be potential home sellers. That's number 1, clarity of purpose. Number 2, to find an unrepresented buyer who buys that home through you, who buys that particular listing. So that's a rarity. We know that people don't come through open houses and buy that house very often, but it's still something that you should have as a purpose, that you're going to, if you feel like a buyer might be interested, you want to be prepared to make that happen. I'll be talking about that later in this webinar, how to make that happen, how to increase the likelihood that somebody will buy that home. Number 3, another clarity of purpose with open houses, to find a buyer, and that should say without an agent, who buys that home. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that is correct. To find a buyer with an agent who buys that home. So this is relevant only if you're the listing agent. So in the event that you are, a lot of times homes are held open not by the listing agent. And if the listing agent isn't giving you a piece of the action on the list side, then quite honestly, you don't care. If a buyer comes through with another agent and buys that home, that's great. Glad you could hold it open. You helped out the listing agent who allowed you to hold the open house, but you're not earning anything. So let's just cut to it. Unless you're the listing agent, that doesn't even really matter, because you're out there to make a living. You're not out there because it's not your listing necessarily trying to get the home sold unless you can sell it yourself. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but I'm not wasting my time holding a home open for some listing agent in the hope that it ends up selling their home and I make nothing. So find a buyer with an agent. It matters if you're the list agent. Find a buyer who buys another home through you. Well, absolutely. This would be an unrepresented buyer who buys another home for you. That's a clarity of purpose. And how do you hold an open house, guys, and not have something that you put in my hand and say to me when I walk through the home that might also incent me not just to list with you if I'm a seller, but to buy through you if I'm a potential buyer, instead of just going and flitting around to open houses on my own. Now, one agent did that. We'll be talking about that later in the webinar, one example of what you can do to do that. And that's what I say when I mean that it makes this stuff. And by the way, don't let me forget, I want to show you that photo of my dad. I got all that photo of my dad's office there. That's when I got all like looking at all these tips for open houses online, everything that Adrian could find had to do with making the house show better, having little cutesy signs, having goodie bags and all. It was all really more directed about getting that home sold. For many of you, when you're holding open houses, it's not about getting that home sold. It's not even your listing. And if it is your listing, it shouldn't be just about getting that sold. Of course, that should be part of it, but the other part of it should be to get people to want to list with you, to get people to want to buy their homes through you, to build your network of connections, etc. So to build your sphere of contacts is another clarity of purpose. Even for people who aren't right now buyers or aren't right now sellers. So what are you doing what are you offering these people? What's your, what we call ethical bribe? What are you agreeing to give these people in exchange for their contact information? If you don't have, that's known online, by the way, for those of you that don't do internet marketing, is an ethical bribe. Like, you exchange, when you go to a website and they offer this download that you really want, you have to put in your email. So basically there's a bribe there. It's ethical. They're bribing you. They want your email so they can start sending emails to you, and you know that, and they're giving you this thing of value. And the people who do it well are the ones who give huge value. Like with my coaching brochure download. What's interesting about my coaching brochure download on realestatemaverics.com is I lay out pages of my strategies. I don't just say, I'm wonderful, I'm amazing, you should hire me as your coach, you should go through our plan. I actually put a lot of real content in there and how it works and how it monetizes, because I want it to be valuable. Even if people don't have me as their coach, I want them to feel like if they gave up my email so that I could then market my webinars to them and that type of thing and build my base of agents who someday, if they don't in the early stages, someday might say, all right, Greg's got it. I think I'm going to go into his coaching. You know, in exchange for that, I want to give real good value now. So that's what you should be thinking at open houses, is what you can give up of real value in exchange for a person's contact information. But nobody did that in these open houses. There was a little sign-in sheet. Are you kidding me? A sign-in sheet? My dad was using sign-in sheets that looked like that like 60 years ago. I mean, gee, guys, a sign-in sheet? Okay, so and there's another purpose is that is you enhance your community brand by putting open signs out with your brand on them, etc. So, okay, so now what we're going to talk about is where the rubber meets the road here, and these are some actual real strategies. But before we do, well, no, before we do, whatever, I'm just in the mood. Let me see if I can show you this, because I'll forget. I'll get all wicked up at the end of the webinar. So this was, if you can see this was in suburban Cincinnati, Ohio, in Silverton, Ohio. This is a rendering of my dad's. My dad was so proud. I forget how old I was, maybe 7 or 8, 9 years old. And he was so proud when he built this building. He had worked like a dog for 7 or 8 years and earned, was really successful selling. And then he worked in a little rented office, and then he built his first building that he owned. It's in Silverton, Ohio, on Montgomery Road. And well, there it is. I just thought I'd share that with you. And that was, I remember my first job in real estate was our dad's janitor was Aaron. And Aaron was way more than a janitor. Aaron was a total friend of Dad's, etc. But I was assistant to the janitor. I was Aaron's assistant, and it was really. I remember Dad had all this woodwork there in the building, and I helped Aaron scrub that and all that. And if you'd like to read a really cool story about Aaron and my dad, go to my fathering website, savvydad.com. Just like it sounds, SAVVY, savvydad.com, and just put in search bar, I think, Aaron, AARON, and I think that story will come up about how Aaron was actually a mentor to my dad, that the janitor in his real estate firm was actually a mentor to him. Okay, so back to the screen share here. There we go. Okay, so let's go through a few of these strategies. So first one, the door hanger neighborhood preview campaign. Okay, so the clarity of purpose is to meet potential buyers and sellers. So the idea is to now this is something that is taught out there, but I'm going to teach it at a higher level. So what you're going to do is just use door hangers, And I'm going to show you the math here in a minute. If I can remember what I did last night, I worked through this math. You're just going to use door hangers, and you're going to end up getting listings for $280. So that's what I'm going to end up showing you here. How to get listings through open houses, how to get listings. Now, who does this? Who else does this? Who sits up like till 10 o'clock last night figuring out through an open house, and I've taught this for years, but actually taking an example and figuring out if you do this right, what it's going to cost you per listing at an open house to get a listing. And I've taught this for years. This works, and I redid math last night on it just to present it in a little bit different way. Okay, so I need to go off the screen share for a minute here because I need to show you something. I need to do that, and then I need to go over to here. Okay, so these are 3 door hangers that we use. Now, the one on the left, forget the one on the left that for a moment. That's the back side. That's our program. But the front side, just a couple of examples: exclusive sneak preview, best home in the neighborhood. You must see this home, one time only sneak preview. And the bottom line is this is going to be distributed to the neighbors, and we'll talk about numbers in a minute. So it's going to be distributed. And I want you to be clear here. This does not have to be distributed to just the local, like right around it neighborhood. You can put this out hundreds and hundreds of homes breadth wide. I mean, there's people in adjacent neighborhoods that might be interested in adjacent neighborhoods. I mean, you can go out easily 1,000 to 1,500 home ring circle with this kind of strategy. And I do recommend that, by the way, because it's not that costly. And the idea is you can develop your own. I have a Maverick's graphic designer, Erin, who's amazing. She may be on the webinar this morning, who does all the graphic design work for all the agents I coach and customizes all of our materials to their brand. But the idea is on one side of it to offer this sneak preview maybe 1 hour before your actual open house, so it's just for the neighbors. And of course, they can come during the regular one as well, but something that's just special, dedicated to them. Maybe you do a little brownie, kind of a refreshment goodie thing. And then on the reverse side, and that's the one, and I'm looking down at the screen, on the reverse side, you have your compelling message, like selling your home, and you'd really put, I'll do it for only $990, and that'd be the 990 strategy. But you do whatever it is, you have that on the reverse side. So here's what happens. So let me go back and show you the numbers here for, I've tested this, we've used this over and over, and I'm going to show you what happens here. Okay, so here's what happens. So the 1 in 16, okay, 1 in 16 of the people, doors you put this on average, depending on the community, will end up coming into your open house. So for every 16 you put out, if you put 16 out, you should get one of these, we'll call it neighbors, who attend your open house, okay? Now, about one, and follow me on this, so 1 in 16 should come into your open house. Now, in any given community, like I said earlier, and that's why I went through this, about 1 in 14 people sell each year, okay? So stay with me on this. So 1 in 16 people will come through your open house. In any given community in the course of a year, about 1 in 14 will end up selling their home, you know, roughly 6%. So, and then if you have a good, compelling message that you consistently put in front of them, I talked about that, about 20% of those people will end up listing with you, calling you to list their home. And of course, you should probably list it if you have a good program. So the bottom line is, if you multiply that out, for every 11, what you're doing basically is 16 times 14 times 5. I think that's what it is. We worked the math through last night, or maybe it's divided by whatever. This is what happens. For every 1,120 door hangers you put out, driving people to an open house, you should end up with one listing. And if the cost is 25%, 25 cents per door hanger, it's costing you $280 to get a listing. Now, we have done this over and over and over again. And, you know, definitely the percentages vary, and the listing doesn't come necessarily right away, but sometimes it does. Because when you're reaching out to that number of people and you're think about this, you're putting 1,120 door hangers out, and you're doing this one time now. This isn't your twice a month strategy. You're just doing it one time, but you're leveraging two things. Thing number one is you're getting your 990 message out to 1,120 potential home sellers. And you have to remember that 6% of 1,120 is what, 7, right? I think that's 7. Is that right? Yeah, that's 7. So, or is that 70? No, maybe, yeah. What am I thinking? That's like 60 or 70. So call that 70. It's actually 66, but call it 70. So that's 70 of those people are likely to sell their home in 60 to 70 in the next 12 months, which means that 4 or 5 are probably thinking about it right now, guys. 4 or 5 are probably thinking about it right now. So you're not only driving them to your open house, but you're also putting this message in front of a few people who are probably this month thinking about selling their home. And we've seen time and time again that this just flat out works. So this is an open house strategy you just can't not do. You don't have to distribute these door hangers yourself. You just, if you're going to hold an open house, you want to get a listing out of it. So go and put 11, and I want you to do this. Try this at your next open house. Do just what I said. Use something, you develop, where are our door hangers? Oh, I showed you the samples of the door hangers. Put up, do the samples, put 1,100 door hangers out. And you let me know if within the next 60 days, you don't end up with a listing. If the door hangers promote your open house and they also have a good, compelling message, I know the 990 message works. There are other messages that work as well. Have an incredibly powerful, compelling message, and 1,120, and I'll bet you email me, and I'll give you my personal email. My team is going to shoot me for doing this because the Greg Hague, my full name, is handled by the team because we get so many emails. But my personal email for this purpose only is just greg@realestatemaverics.com. And I do have that around in various places, and anybody on my webinars is welcome to that. If you do this and you do exactly this and you don't get a listing within 60 days, I want you to email me and I'm going to send you $50. I'm going to send you $50. $50. So you make a note of this, because I don't want to tell you to do something, and I don't want to tell you to spend your money and then have you waste that money and say, wow, it didn't work. It will work if your compelling message is strong. I know it will work with $9.90, and to be in the let's say to be in the $50 game here, all you need to do is, I want to make sure you have a good compelling message. So I want you to email Jen. If you're not in my coaching and you're using something other than $9.90, then, because I know that works, I want you to email Jen with what you're going to put. We're going to do this for free for those of you not in my coaching. Email Jen, Jen, at Real Estate Mavericks, with what you're going to use on the opposite side of your door hanger to promote this open house. I'll look at that. Jen will run these by me as my schedule allows. We'll look at these. We'll approve it. We'll say, okay, we think that's strong enough that it's worth the $50 challenge. Then you can just go for it. And if it doesn't work, put out we want to know, put out 1,120, you hold the open house, follow the talk tracks I'm going to teach you today. And if you don't get a listing appointment, I can't control the listing, I guess. So if you don't get a listing appointment from it within 60 days, I'm going to send you $50. How's that for a deal? Okay, so that's strategy number one. And Jen, I just decided to do this little thing. I know I didn't clear it with you, so I know you're going to get slammed with a bunch of emails because I see how many people are on this webinar today. Those of you in my coaching, you don't even have to bother because you're using the $9.90 message, and we know that works. And I'm not going to be having to pay you guys any $50 because I know it works. But it also you also qualify, by the way. If it doesn't work, I'll give you the $50. Okay. And we went through. I already went through what a $300,000 listing is worth, et cetera. Okay, strategy number 2, the compelling message goodie bag, So what's the clarity of purpose here? This again is listings. Remember, the clarity of purpose on getting neighbors over is also, it's not just listings. You might also get unrepresented buyers. You might buy somebody looking to buy a home. This is purely about listings, okay? So this is very simple. You want to distribute treats at your thing. Everybody does this, no big deal. But you want to have a memorable message for homeowners when the time comes to sell. This is what I was blown away with. Some of the open houses I went to, they had little treats and things you could take with you, but none of it had any message that made me think like I should be selling my home with this agent. How do you not do that? The idea is, you could have something where, sell your home for more than it's worth, for 8% more than it's worth. Ask me how. That's my 29-day program. We have this, we have the $9.90 thing. You can have your own. But the point is, you need to have something that's appended to the goodie bag that is the reason why people should list with you. So that's pretty simple. I'm through that right now. But you cannot let people go through your open house without having something that they'll pick up and take with them that is some irresistible message. And it isn't. Trust me, guys. I know you're gorgeous. You're all better looking than me. No doubt about it. And I know that you've all been in the business longer than me. Yeah, right. None of you have been in this business longer than me. I wish you had. I wish I was 20 years younger. But you've all maybe been in the business a long time. But that's no compelling message. That you're gorgeous. Here's my photo. I've been in the business 15 years. And I'm with this amazing company. Nobody cares. There's a lot of gorgeous people that have been in the business a long time and that have sold a lot of homes and that are with really reputable companies. That does not set you apart. You got to come up with something better than that, where people say it and they say, wow, I got to talk to this person. When the time comes to sell my home, I got to talk to this person. Okay. Strategy number 3. You're going to love this. Let me pay for your move rebate offer. This is very, very, very powerful. And I'm going to go off of slides here in a minute after I just zip through the slides on this. So the clarity of purpose is to get buyers who buy other homes through you. So remember I said you got to have a clarity of purpose. Everything you do, every process, you have to understand why you're doing it. And that's why it blows me away when I see agents at these open houses that are just putting all the cool signs, doing all the cool stuff, but none of it is designed, and they're not even the listing agent. None of it is designed to monetize for them. It's just like, what are you thinking? So the clarity of purpose here is to snag buyers who are unrepresented and to give them a motivation to buy through you and not go around on their own. So that's just what I said there. Give them a reason to deal with you. So you distribute a flyer offering to pay buyers moving costs up to some amount of your commission. Maybe you're in a 3%, 1% of the total purchase price. That's what you might say in the fine print. But I would walk through your open. So here's how it would go okay. So let me go off the screen share and talk about this because this is a big deal. So I walk through your open and you talk to me and you say, by the way, Greg, you say, are you looking around for a home? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm at the open. Okay, so Roseanne and I are there looking around. No. Roseanne and I just thought on a Sunday afternoon, the best quality time we could spend together would be going out and looking at open houses. Now, well, actually, some people do that. I get that. But there are other things, given that I've been and seen a lot of houses, that I would be doing with Roseanne on a Sunday afternoon if we weren't actually out looking for a home. And actually, we are. We're looking around to see if we can find, I mean, not like we need another home. It'll be our 30th home. Totally ridiculous, but whatever. We're out looking. So I would then say, well, Greg, you're out looking around for a home, I can see. I said, yeah. And they say, well, I would then, as the agent, I would say, well, have you heard about my moving offer? Have you heard? Of course I haven't, because you know this when you ask them. So I would say to the buyer, I'm the agent, and I would say to the buyer, have you heard about my moving offer where I pay your moving expenses when you move? Well, they're going to say no. So person says, no, are you serious? I say, yeah. I said, anywhere you move here in Phoenix, in Arizona, when you end up buying a home, for people who buy through me, I just cover their moving expenses. And by the way, that includes packing, a little concierge, and all this other stuff. And here's my little flyer that talks all about it. So if you're really serious about buying a home, think about letting me be your buyer's agent. I do an amazing job of negotiating. I mean, I'm a killer good negotiator. And on top of that, I end up paying moving expenses. So that is a hugely, hugely powerful offer. And I do not understand why. I mean, you can do that. You can do anything. You can say, I just give you some part of my commission. But we have tested a lot of these rebates, the rebate offers. And the one that appears to work best, is the most powerful, is this concept that they pay moving expenses. And then you limit it in the print on the flyer to some percentage of your commission. Understand, in 40 states, I believe it's 40 states, rebates like that are totally fine and totally legal, offering the rebate. And I'm not even sure in the states where buyer rebates are not legal, that it isn't perfectly fine as a gift to pay for a person's move. I mean, I honestly think that may not even be a problem. So I think that's just a non-issue. And so the idea is, think about this. These are going to be buyers. You say, but Greg, I don't want to give up any of my 3%. You don't have any 3%. Odds are these people are out looking on their own. If you end up making just 1.5% or 2% instead of 3%, this is found business. And with the agents in my coaching, you're not going to be dealing with these buyers anyway. If there's only 2% in it, you're going to hand them off to your buyer agent team, and they're going to be doing it, and you're going to get some percentage of the commission. And your buyer agent team's going to love this, because here's another buyer that you, the listing maven, decided to hold open house, and you snagged a buyer and gave it to your buyer agent team. It's all a found buyer they would have never had. And so what if a buyer buys a $300,000 home and you guys together only earn $6,000 instead of $9,000? Hey, it's $6,000 found money, and it's another client who may end up selling a home. Okay, so back to the screen share. And we're back there. Okay, so we've done that. Number 4, we have 5, by the way, and then we're all wrapped up here so I can finish up right on the hour for you guys. So seller motivation, urgency, and contrast price positioning. I got to get a little sip of tea here, guys. I am parched. This is huge. Now, the purpose here is to sell the home you're holding open. So any of you will want to do this, because whether you're the listing agent or not, why wouldn't you want to sell the home that you're holding open and earn that 3% buy-side commission? And I am amazed that I've been through so many open houses, I don't mean just this last weekend, nobody's doing this. Nobody understands even how to get people all excited about the houses they're seeing. And that's what I'm going to teach you now. And you're going to love this, because you'll use this all the time. You're just not going to use this at opens. You should use this when you're showing houses. Okay, so here we go. You need to cover three things, and then I'm going to go off of the slide share and I'll talk to you about these. You need to have the seller motivation, which is, of course, why they need to sell, the seller urgency, which is why they need to sell now, and then the contrast price positioning. And I'll show you exactly how to reel this out just in a real quick little sentence, just in a couple sentences to buyers. And it really gets them excited. I mean, there were a couple of houses Roseanne and I looked at, and if somebody had done this, we'd probably be more interested in moving to the next step and talking more about them. But you want to have at least a couple of other examples of why this home is like an amazing price, okay? So, and then we'll get to this last Facebook live broadcasting, which I'll talk to you about, which hopefully you guys aren't too chicken to do that. You'll actually do that. Okay, so we're off. So here's what that looks like. We'll talk about it in the context of an open, but my son Casey, who, as many of you in my coaching know, he just got into real estate a few months ago, and I'm personally working with him. Boy, I've just got him just nailed on this thing. I mean, he just got this. So for the listings he has and any other homes he'd show. So the idea is to think three things, and let's use this in an open house context. I want people to tell me, I'm the buyer now. When I go through an open, tell me. When I'm walking around and maybe about halfway through the home and you come over and you say something like, by the way, Greg, do you know why these people are selling? Of course I don't. So you say, well, yeah, they have made their daughter-in-law, their son and daughter-in-law just had a baby. And they have made their mind up that they're moving to San Diego, and they want to get out there like now, because the mom, the wife owner of the home here, she does not want to spend another minute. I mean, and without her grandbaby right there, and her daughter-in-law needs her to take care of it and all this stuff. So, I mean, they just made their mind up that they are wanting to move now. They want to make this home go away. They want it sold. Huge motivation. They basically told me that they're going to look at anything. They're going to look at any offer. Well, this is true. Every seller is going to look at any offer. So the idea, remember, is a lot of sellers, as a listing agent, I want to talk to you because I use this on listing appointments. I talk to sellers about how critical it is that I'm able to do this and I'm able to craft this seller motivation, seller urgency story. The idea isn't that you're trying to motivate people to make a lowball offer based on list price. What you're using, that's the common misunderstanding. What you're using this for is to point out what an amazing list price it is. And to say, this is priced at like one of the ones we went through was, in one of the communities was $1,170,000. I think it was $1,170,000 in a gated community. And so I wanted the agent to say to me, Greg, gosh, these people, this and that, and the motivation, the urgency, and this $1,170,000, that's why they priced it so low. And then use the contrast price positioning. And let me tell you, as an example, this home that's listed, right over there in that community, it's listed at like 20% more a square foot. And it doesn't even have this, this, and this. And there's a home that just sold over in the community over there that wasn't nearly as nice as this. And it sold for more than this list price. I mean, you just dig up the best you can find. Because I haven't seen these other homes. I don't know. You do dig up the best you can find so that you are able to finish. And here's the key. You finish the seller motivation, seller urgency part with a concrete example or two. You need at least two, really. And it's all done smoothly. It's just like flows out of your mouth. So you say, Greg, oh, by the way, I didn't have a chance to tell you why these sellers are selling. Unbelievable. Wife just said, we're out of here. Had a grandbaby, want to get to San Diego. Said to the husband, I don't care. If we have to sell this home for whatever, bottom line is little bit of money either way is not nearly as important as you and me. We've worked our whole life to have the money to be able to afford to do this. And who cares if this home sells for a little more, a little less? We want to get out there to San Diego. I want to be with my grandchild. I want that to happen now. And so we're getting this home sold and we're pricing it so it sells. And we want to sell this thing in the next few days, next few weeks. We do not want to be hanging around here months. And that's why the only reason they priced this at $1,170,000. Unbelievable. Of course, it doesn't matter. The price could be $340,000. This isn't the point. And boy, Greg, are they right? this home, sold over here for this and that and that, and you get the point, guys. So you do the soft, the motivation, then you make the urgency statement, then you do the contrast price positioning, and you never hold an open house without being able to do that with respect to that house, because you want an unrepresented buyer. You want to see if you can get them engaged in that. And then if they don't, then you have your other things, which are what? You're moving your strategy. You don't want to use, by the way, this is very important, you don't use your rebate move strategy. You don't pull that out until you kind of get the sense that this unrepresented buyer is what? Is not interested in this particular house, in this listing, because you want to make the full 3%. You don't need to pay their moving costs then, because if they're interested, you got them there. You've got probably procuring costs locked in because you showed them the house. They weren't with an agent, and so you don't need to give anything up. But if you see that, well, not sure, whatever, and they're leaving and you can't get them engaged and whatever, then you make the what? You make the moving rebate offer, and to try to get them to look at homes with you and or your team. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's go to the last one here. See, we have a bunch of questions. Guys, I'll hit all the chats and all the questions once I finish the webinar and turn the recording off, just so, because I want to try to keep this to an hour, and I've got 3 minutes to do it here. So let me go back to, where's my little cursor? I lost my cursor here. Well, that means I won't be able, there it is. Okay, won't go back to screen share. So I don't have to go to screen share because I know what I'm talking about anyway. So, okay, last one, Facebook Live. I'll spend 2 minutes on this. Guys, the clarity of purpose is to build your brand here. So this is really to build your brand. You might get people over to your open, but that'd be great. But it's really to build your brand. And, I'm not as gorgeous as I want to be either. But video right there, it isn't just the future, it's right now. Did you know that live Facebook gets 3 to 5 times the action as photos and 2 times the action of pre-recorded, stuff you post pre-recorded. So you need to get into Facebook Live. You're welcome to the slide deck, as you know. So order the slide deck from Jen. Just send Jen an email, jen@realestatemaverics.com, get the slide deck. And here's a bunch of stuff you can use. It's not that expensive. I actually went to last night, went and researched all the best things that are recommended to be amazing at Facebook Live. Now, you don't need anything except your smartphone, but I just wanted to help you guys out. The idea is I just want to give you really great value out of these webinars. So there's a bunch of stuff. And so let's pop back to here. So let me go off and we'll talk about this. And just a second here, go off the screen share. So you need to hear this. Facebook is rewarding hugely. They want to push Facebook Live. Agents around the country, some in my coaching, are using Facebook Live unbelievably effectively. I'm using Facebook Live effectively. You need to just learn how to do that. There's tons of free courses on YouTube, just how to quickly learn how to use and leverage Facebook Live. Open houses are a perfect opportunity to do that. I mean, I've seen some great video of agents. I mean, they're just holding the camera out in their car as they drive over to the open, say, yeah, headed over to another open. It's going to be at this house and whatever. And they're just talking in the camera. I mean, it's so ultra cool. I mean, it's more engaging than the slick stuff, And the bottom line is you want to learn to do this, and and then you walk through the open and you do this, and you can even do a little Facebook Live of somebody coming in. Hey, we got a client coming in. You're on Facebook Live. Oh, no. Be a maverick. You don't have to be in my coaching to be a maverick. You can be a maverick without being in my coaching. Be a maverick. I mean, get crazy, do some fun stuff, have some fun. Facebook Live, run it through your channel, learn how to do it. It can cause you to just build your brand so much quicker than still photos and the other things you are doing. And so to finish up today, let me go back here. I'm going to just mention to you that if you'd like to, and by the way, if you download, I am upgrading even the market control strategy brochure. So for those of you who go in, if you don't have it and you download, go to Real Estate Mavericks, that's plural.com, and you download my market control strategy brochure. That will take you through this whole 990 thing quantitatively, how that works, how you make money listing homes at only 990. The money, it's all just laid out there in the second section. Do that download, because in the first week in February, I'm doing a substantial upgrade to my coaching strategy brochure, and I'm adding to it a lot of the strategies that I've talked about in my webinar, and you'll get an automatic copy of that. anybody that downloads my coaching brochure is going to get that as well. And so that's going to be like a lot of the best stuff I've taught over the last year, all right in my coaching brochure. I mean, I just figured that the best way there's no doubt that the best way to get those of you who fit what I'm doing, who like the kinds of things I teach, to get you to join me and join this Mavericks movement and go where the puck isn't. I talked about that last week, and I'll talk about that to finish right now, is to just not just say I'm wonderful, I'm amazing, I'm great, but I obviously just show you the content, show you what we're doing, and show you how this business in a box works. And I'll finish by simply saying, that's what my coaching is. This is not a big pitch for the coaching, but it's really not. It's more a licensing kind of a semi-franchisey kind of thing, where basically you're just getting videos customized to you. You're getting materials customized to you. It's basically what I want. The purpose of my coaching isn't just to teach you what to do. It's to give you the materials and everything you need to do it so that you can spend your time doing business and not looking for business. And that's my last little riff today. And I'll just, if you want links, you can email jen@realestatemaverics.com. And by the way, if you enjoyed this webinar, big favor to me, I'd love to get a LinkedIn recommendation on the most recommended coach on LinkedIn, and 5 minutes of your time. If you're not connected with me, connect. Leave me a recommendation on LinkedIn. If there's anything I can do for you, glad to do it. I do that anyway. But if you haven't done that for me, that would just be totally appreciated. You'd just be a superstar in our world here. And I'm just Greg Hague on LinkedIn, and then leave it under Real Estate Mavericks. And even if you thought this webinar stunk and it's too long, and Greg, you ran over and you didn't look that good in that shirt because Roseanne wasn't there and to dress you this morning, the bottom line is, whatever it is you put, I appreciate you taking the time. So here's the way I want to finish, and I'm going to go off screen, guys. And please, I can see all of you are hanging on here. You got to see what's happening in real estate right now. If you haven't, go to some of these companies. They're going to own you if you don't start making maverick moves. Trelora, TRELORA.com. $2,500 on the list side, $2,500 on the buy side. Fast growing company in Colorado, starting to expand, just got seed capital. Obviously, Redfin, salaried agents, Hauser, HOUWZER.com, salaried agents. The model that is proliferating, I'm just going to tell you guys, please hang on, listen to me here. This is what I'm going to talk to you about in the next 4 or 5 minutes, may be far more valuable than anything I said during this webinar. Where things are progressing, you can count on this, take this to the bank, is the proliferation of lower transactional costs for consumers in real estate at a level that is nothing like we've ever seen. It's happened in other industries. It happened in the travel industry. It happened in the book and retail industry. It's now starting to happen quickly in real estate. Any commissions you can make now, the big commissions, make them. That's okay. But hedge your bet. You need to learn non-traditional real estate, because what's going to happen is, no matter how good you are, ultimately, if consumers can sell their home and pay $990 on the list side, or nothing on the list side, or $2,500 on the list side, or Redfin, high-priced Redfin at 1% on the list side, they'll be the high-end player. That's what's going to happen. Guys, you need to get your footprint now. The idea is that if you wait until that happens, you will be working for them. In 36 months, you'll be interviewing for a job with one of these companies on a salary, which is not why you got in real estate. What you need to do is, whether you do it with me or do it on your own, you need to recognize what's happening. You need to understand that's what consumers want. That's what they're wanting right now. They are not wanting to pay 3% on the list side, and buyers are now, even on the buy side, starting to recognize with all these rebate offers that they'd like to get some of that money back. It's going to proliferate. It's going to explode. It's going to hit a tipping point, and when it does, it's going to go just like that. And when it does, you don't want to be sucked in behind it. You want to be ahead of it. You want to have already gotten ahead of it, established your own brand, taken and done something amazing in your market, so that then when all these other alternatives come into your market, they're nothingness because you've already got the market and you're already doing it. Do you follow me? Even if you say, Greg, I don't want to, I've got it still pretty good, 5 and 6% income coming in here, fine, then do this non-traditional in a market where you don't have business coming in, just something adjacent where you're not getting a lot of business. So you're not blowing the commissions over here, you're just building yourself a base over here. And then as you feel the pinch over here, you can move that over there and command that as well. Do you see what I'm saying here, guys? Hedge your bet. Even if you're wanting to keep your regular percentage stuff going, hedge your bet by doing the kind of thing I'm talking about, whether it's in my coaching or not, somewhere else. And it monetizes. You'll make money from it. It'll just add to your bottom line. I look at myself. I look at myself, what I'm trying to do, my mission, and I really mean this. This is sincere, is preserve real estate entrepreneurship. I've lived my life. I'm an attorney and all this other stuff. You guys know that. And I've lived my life in real estate. I don't do that. I so believe in this. I like getting up when I want in the morning. I get up really early, but I like the ability to get up whenever I want. I like the ability to take a day off when I want. I don't want to have to ask some boss, when I can take a vacation. I don't want to work for Redfin. I know agents that work for Redfin. That's okay. It's a nice gig, makes okay money. They get benefits and all that stuff, but that's not me. I do not want them telling me what to do. And I promise you, if you just keep waiting for this to happen and don't get ahead of the curve, you're going to be either out of the business or you're going to be working for one of these companies. And it isn't going to happen in the next 6 or 12 months, but it is going to happen 24, 36 months, 48 months. And now's the time to get ahead of the curve. And I'll just finish. You know the Wayne Gretzky story. I've told it before. Wayne Gretzky, as a kid, he was sitting with his dad at a hockey game, and the pro players were out there on the ice, and Gretzky was drawing this on this little piece of paper, and his dad says, "What are you doing?" And Gretzky, one of the most best famous skaters of all times, when he became older as a kid, he said, "Dad, I'm just trying to figure out where the puck is going. Everybody's like skating to where the puck is, and I figure like it'd be smarter to skate to where the puck's going." And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do, so that you are one of the few. There's 1.2 million realtors out there. Average earnings was 44,000, then it dropped to 37,000, and it's going to drop again this year. When the market's exploding, earnings are going down. Get it? Understand what's happening? And the big pressure right now is on the list side. That's why you want to get ahead of that and command the listings, monetize the buy side. And then when the buy side starts getting pushed down, it will. If you control the inventory, control the market, you'll still be able to make money. Where you will lose is if you don't control the inventory, you don't get ahead of the curve, and you don't go where the puck is going. So I'll finish by saying, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging on today, and I salute the Maverick in you. And for those of you that want me to answer your questions, I will be glad to hang on as long as you like, until I get so hungry I need to get lunch. So I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll go to the questions.